Growing up, I loved animated movies. My family didn't have cable, so the DVD player was all I had, outside of early Netflix. And since DVDs were, and still are, pretty pricey, I'd usually end up finding a movie I liked enough, or convince myself I did, then watch that same movie over and over and over again until every line of dialogue was ingrained into my cranium. One of these movies happened to be the 2006 film Arthur and the Invisibles, which up until a few weeks ago, I looked back on rather fondly. I'd even go a step further and say I loved this goddamn movie. The world building was dope. Arthur, the main dude, was a badass. It had some good action scenes. The love interest was a baddie. The ratings are just flat out wrong. It was an amazing movie. Well, that's how I remembered it, at least. You see, something recently reminded my brain that this movie existed. I don't know what, but I was curious enough to see how it held up. And wow, what a grave mistake that was. Ultimately destroying a cherished childhood memory of mine.
It's all coming back, you understand? I don't like it. I don't like to think about it.
As well as the trust of a couple of my buddies, who I convinced to view it with me, telling them it was on the level of Kung Fu Panda. It was not. Arthur Invisible, this character that I thought for years was this brave hero, ended up being a pervert. He's a little hornball that doesn't believe in the concept of consent. He's a grab first, ask questions later type of guy. And it's not just him, I tell you. Every character in this movie should be put on some sort of list. The tagline on the DVD should have been, no matter the age or size, never take no for an answer. Some shit like that. That seemed to be the key message the creators wanted you to take away after viewing this thing. And it all starts to make sense when you realize who the dynamic duo is behind the making of this thing. Weinstein, the cretin on the left, you know he's a scumbag, but the fella on the right you may not be aware of. This is the director, Luc Besson. To put it mildly, he's a French fuck. At 29 years old, he started scouting his soon-to-be second wife, Mawen Arachnahida Labesco. I killed that. She was 12 at the time. 3 years later, they started dating when she turned 15 and he was 32.
No, not too much. You have a seat right on the stool there.
Then a year later, he got her pregnant and they got married when she was 16 and he was 33. Ew! And since he's been accused of all sorts of yucky and horrible acts by multiple other women, he's a sack of shit. And together with Weinstein, they formed the dynamic Diddlers. The duo behind one of my favorite movies growing up. This is some soul-crushing shit. And with that intro out of the way, let me break down what exactly makes Arthur and the Invisibles the freakiest kids movie I've ever seen. 3 words that should not be next to each other. The movie begins with a pretty cliche intro. A book opens. We get a little narration from Arthur's missing grandfather, who lies straight to our faces, telling us that this movie begins in Africa when it does not. This is bumfuck Connecticut, and the year is 1960. The camera zooms in on Arthur's grandma yelling out his name, and we get a title card. The original name of the movie, Arthur and the Minimoys, which makes way more sense than Arthur and the Invisibles. For one, these little shits aren't invisible. They're very small. They're the size of a tooth, but if you look close enough, you can see these little shits. We're introduced to Arthur, who's fascinated with the work his grandfather did in Africa, and for some reason he's British when nobody else in his family seems to be. Also, today is his 10th birthday, so he and Granny ride into their little minority-free town so she can get him a cake. Where are Arthur's parents, you may ask? They really don't give a damn about him.
Fuck you, kid. You're adopted.
That's why he's got something to prove, you see. But aw, Granny sure is pretty cool at least. Very wholesome stuff. That night she puts him to bed with stories of the work his grandfather did for this tribe of tall ass dudes, the Bogo Mantis Salai, who paid him for his work in rubies. The Bogo and Gramps were also homies with this tribe of short stacks called the Minimoys, who were hella small but not invisible. Granny shows Arthur a picture of this tribe's princess, giving him his first stiffy.
Shabuya roll call.
For obvious reasons, Granny doesn't actually believe in any of this bullshit. For one, it all came from her alcoholic missing husband. But Arthur, after seeing the baddest bitch he's ever seen, becomes determined to find these little people. And the next morning when the shitbag building contractor rolls up with papers to take Granny's house and the land surrounding in the next 48 hours so he can put up condos, if Gramps isn't back to sign his documents and pay back the debts they owe, Arthur locks in to find these little people even more so. Why not pay back the debts with the rubies, you might ask? Well, his drunk grandfather, before dipping 3 years prior, hid them somewhere in the yard where not a soul could find them. So while Granny gets real, attempting to sell off Gramps' African collection for some real bankroll, Arthur comes across his map that reveals that the Minimoys now live in Granny's garden. Gramps brought him back from Africa in a suitcase, I guess. That night he finds Grandpa's hidden riddle written directly for him, giving him the list of steps he needs to follow to reach the Minimoys. Unfortunately, these steps only work every few years, but it's a kids movie, so that once every few years happens to be this specific night. Of course. Why Gramps didn't address this to his adult wife? Probably because it was the 1960s. Plus, the man is clearly a moron. So that night after Granny tucks him in, he sneaks out attempting to get into Grandpa's study. But he's caught almost immediately. And Granny, knowing that he's up to some shenanigans, threatens to drug him with sleeping drops, but ultimately just locks him in his room. Maybe she isn't so awesome. But Arthur is not one to take no for an answer. He escapes out of his second story window with a sheet rope and gets his lick back, grabbing a fishing pole from the shed to knock her whole bottle of sleeping drops into her glass of water, sedating her instantaneously. Dude drugged his grandma, taking a page right out of the Cosby Diddy book of drink making. Except I don't think they ever drugged their own grandmas. But he's the good guy, right? He's just trying to save her house. He follows all Gramps' steps, crashes Granny's car into a tree. The Bogo Salai roll up, and wow. Whoever did their fit designs gotta be a racist. Don't you think?
Wait.
Whatever. They help add the finishing touches to the portal, which opens up to reveal a ginger elf thing. Played by Jimmy Fallon. Yes, that Jimmy Fallon.
That is fantastic.
AKA Beta Mesh. I'm just gonna refer to him the rest of the time as Fallon though, because he definitely fit this role.
What are you talking about, young man? Are you a practical joker like your grandfather?
This is no joke, Mr. Bettermesh.
Arthur's able to convince Fallon to shrink him down to Minimoy size. He hops in the portal. Then Fallon plays his favorite late night talk show trick, convincing Arthur to crush himself to death. Ah, classic Jimmy. Just kidding. Now he's all animated. And first impressions, I would say it holds up pretty well. Some of the characters in the background will look a little off at times, but compared to other movies coming out in 2006, like Monster House or that one with the talking baseball bat, this looks pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Fallon leads Arthur to the center of town, where the fine-ass Princess Selenia, the lady Arthur was gooning to earlier, voiced by Madonna, is trying to pull a sword out of a stone. She does not succeed.
It's moving. I have it. I feel it.
Get out!
So with a break in the action, Arthur pulls up after getting sexualized by multiple women in the crowd, and also Fallon.
Cute, huh?
He's 10 years old, I remind you. Makes his introduction to the king, voiced by Robert De Niro. He learns about the big bad of this movie, Maltazard, aka the Evil M, who his grandpa went to visit in search of the rubies and never returned. I remind you, not only was his grandpa the idiot that hid these rubies, he was also the one to bring all these little people back from Africa. Meaning he knowingly brought back an evil tyrant for the hell of it.
Bruh.
He's the literal cause of every problem in this movie. I say let him rot. Then the exposition dump is interrupted by a knock at the front gate. It appears just to be some sickly looking dude, but Arthur can see right through the bullshit. That right there is a trap. Selenia completely ignores his observation, giving him sass.
Here, make yourself useful.
This is the first time in my life that I've been provoked to hit a woman.
And guess what? It's a trap. A bunch of Maltazard's goons have pulled up riding mosquitoes. And because of her, hundreds are killed in the bombings that proceed. But the Minimoys are no chumps, managing to fend off the goons with all sorts of defenses set up. Tomato catapults, booby traps, Fallon's horny little cotton ball things.
Okay, that's enough now.
Why is everything in this movie gotta be horny? Not gonna lie, this part's pretty sick though. Alright, they kind of cooked here. Arthur does his fair share as well, taking out multiple guys, most of it pure luck. But it sure is enough to impress King De Niro, who starts suggesting to his daughter to get with Arthur.
He'd make a good partner for
Father,
you.
I'm old enough to look after myself.
Forget it.
Come on now, De Niro. He's even too young for the director. And now with only a few guys left, Selenia and Arthur team up to fend them off. Initially they struggle, but the tides change when Arthur manages to pull the magical sword from the stone, deeming him pure of heart. We'll see the purity of that heart in a little bit here. He then goes on to violate the last of them. And with the kingdom saved and him being the chosen one, everyone's given Arthur MVP chance. Even whatever the hell this thing is. Well, everyone except Selenia. He stole her whole flow. She was supposed to be the chosen one. Now her dad wants him accompanying her to go fight this evil M and find the rubies? Hell nah. But his unspoken Riz manages to tame her for the time being. And just like that, Arthur, Selenia, and Fallon set off on their journey. In the real world, Granny miraculously wakes up from her grandson's roofing, stale, faded, not even noticing that her bedroom door is on the floor. The big three, after walking for a bit, roll up to the Minimoy airport, where Selenia extorts the old man flight operator for tickets.
We didn't ask you for the moon. We asked for 3 tickets to Necropolis. Is that clear enough?
These people sure are some heroes, all right. Granny eventually sobers up and discovers that Arthur is gone. But she does hear him scream when his walnut transportation device is launched into flight.
Arthur?
At peak altitude, a bee knocks him out of the sky.
What the heck is that?
They crash land and piss off a worm that launches them into a ravine.
118, brace for impact.
I like it much better when it stops.
Arthur cuts them free, revealing that they're now in a stream, separated, and heading towards a waterfall. And to make matters worse, Minimoys can't swim. So Arthur has to clutch up. He does some cardio and finds his way back onto the siblings' half of the walnut. And all he gets is more sass.
Oh, great. So instead of the 2 of us drowning, now all 3 of us can drown together.
Who's gonna drown, Selenia?
She's kind of awful. So in response, he gropes her. Yep, that's what I said.
I've got an idea.
Ow. Just because we're gonna die doesn't mean you can start taking liberty.
Are you sure?
He explains his reason for doing so is to use the lace from her bra to make a rope so they can escape, but she still understandably doesn't really like the idea.
I'm not so sure about this idea of yours.
But you know. Movie. Second time's a charm. They even got the poor woman covering her cleavage with one hand while climbing the rope with the other. Who animated this? The little perv even suggests removing the hand so he can get a peep.
Hold on with both hands.
Absolutely no way.
Credit where it's due, I guess. The idea worked. They all survived, but really, this is what y'all came up with? This movie is supposed to be for children.
Maybe Mr. Fantastic can return my lace now.
Was this something they found amusing back in the year 2006? Ain't no way. And now exhausted from their hectic time on the stream, they begin looking for a place to sleep for the night, where we learn from Fallon that these Minimoys don't age like humans.
My
How old
birthday.
are you?
I'm 300 years old. Only another 60 years, I will be a grown-up.
How old's Selenia then?
Almost 1,000 years old.
1,000 years old?
Oh yes, the age of reason. It's her birthday in 2 days.
And if you haven't guessed already, spoiler, Arthur and Selenia end up together. Did nobody stop and think there was something wrong with this? 990 years? For comparison, this age gap is more than 19 times larger than Bill Belichick and his current girlfriend. This gotta be the largest age gap in cinematic history. Then you factor in the ages of the two voice actors playing these characters. Selenia finds a suitable flower and makes the most comfortable bed I've ever seen. As a kid, I remember wanting this to be my bed, understandably. It's got Fallon out like a light. And with only Arthur and the princess now awake, it's Riz o'clock. He tries his absolute best. She confirms that in 2 days, she will in fact be 1,000 years old. And in that time, she needs to find a husband. So Arthur makes it very clear that he wants to be that guy. He wants to be hubby. He wants to crack. He wants to make kids with her. But she's playing hardball, only making Arthur want her more. This kid is a freak. Why is he looking at her like that? He's 10. He needs to chill out. Even how he's sleeping is just wild. Head to ass is crazy work. Is little man trying to catch a whiff? Is he not aware of pink eye? Guess he's only got 2 days, so he needs to make an impression. And this continues into the next morning, with Selenia waking with Arthur's arm around her, spooning her. She is not a fan. But just like his makers, Arthur does not take no for an answer. The big three hit the road and come across Arthur's irrigation system that he built earlier in the movie when he was still big, which the Maltazarians are now taking the straws from, seemingly for some evil plan. Artie gets the bright idea to cop a ride in one of the straws, hoping the goons will take it back to Maltazar's lair, but instead, they just end up back in a stream,
Here we go again.
headed towards another waterfall. And with no shame once again, Arthur asks for Selenia's bra lace.
Give me back your lace.
Absolutely no way.
At least this time he asked. Improvement. They survive the fall and are found by Jamaican Sway Lee, who takes them to Snoop Dogg's club. No, I'm serious. This dude is voiced by Snoop Dogg.
Mega discreet, like you said.
He's got a Rasta beanie on. They all get faded together off some Bugs mystery fluid. Of course.
Long live the 7 kingdoms.
Long live the 7 kingdoms.
You got to.
As long as you're here with me, there's really nothing to fear. I'm the boss here. My name is Max.
Snoop, realizing who Selenia is, tries making a move of his own, and initially, it works.
Certainly.
Even though he is nasty looking, and his fit is not helping with that. All he's got on is a flap that covers cock and ass. So understandably, seeing his girl get taken by this dude has Arthur in shambles, questioning life. But this doesn't last long. Because a second later, an older Maltazarian gentleman sits down at his table, starts complimenting his looks, and offering him drinks, very clearly trying to take advantage of him.
What's a good-looking kid like you doing in front of an empty glass?
Well, if it wasn't empty, you couldn't fill it up, could you?
Jesus Christ, the kid's an idiot.
What? Meanwhile, Selenia isn't doing much better. Snoop Dogg's getting a little too handsy for her liking and dropping the most insane set of lines that I've ever heard in a kid's movie.
Thanks.
I like to help out. Besides which, things are pretty tame right now. I only have 7 wives.
Wow, 7 wives. That, must take a lot out of you.
I like hard work. I can work night and day, 7 days a week, and I never get tired.
Wonderful.
For obvious reasons, this gives her the ick, but she doesn't ditch Snoop until she notices that Arthur is about to sign his life away to this diddler who's got him absolutely fried off of his ass.
So, where do I sign?
Anywhere you like, it doesn't like it.
Who the fuck came up with this? Why is any of this needed in a kid's movie? There is no chance the dynamic diddlers didn't have a hand in this. Selenia does swoop in at the last second, saving Arthur from becoming a statistic, giving us a little break from the freakiness, with a cute little dance scene between them. Selenia even explains that Minimoys count years in selenial blossoms. So with that conversion, she's actually Arthur's age. Good save, movie. Good save. It's still weird with the actors, though. Also, she claims she came out of her mom looking exactly how she is now.
Were you a little girl like the other little girls in my neighborhood?
No, I was born as I am.
That must mean Fallon is her half-brother. No way mom survived that. And right when all finally seems calm and good, Maltazar's son Darko strolls in, killing one of Swaley's brothers. He spots Selenia and tries spitting some game.
Just dropped in for a dance.
Oh, well then, let's dance.
But she shoots him down in possibly the meanest way possible.
Darko, sweetheart, I would rather
Die than dance with you.
Oh, she's my command, princess.
And a big battle breaks out. The big three fight off his gang on the record player. I have no clue how Snoop and Sway managed to get this thing in here, but it's a fun scene. They dance fight the goons for a few minutes until they are eventually outnumbered.
Charge my body.
Only managing to escape when Snoop has the light shut off. Billy takes them through a side door and points them down a dark path that he says will lead them right to Maltazar's lair, who it turns out lives right under Granny's house, who is awakened by a knock at her door. It's Arthur's parents, who actually want to see him for once. Aww. But she has to let him know that dude dipped to look for treasure.
What treasure?
Making these greedy fucks immediately forget that their son exists. They start digging themselves.
I'm sure Arthur will be right back. He just took a little time off, that's all.
Is this supposed to be funny? Haha, look how horrible Arthur's parents are. So funny. Jumping back to the big three. They climb down a hole leading right to Maltazar's lair. Selenia, believing she's gotta be the one to take out the Big M, tries ditching them. Arthur starts following her, so she threatens his life. But deep down, she's actually flattered that he cares so much. Aww. And after a little back and forth, she asks for him to look after the kingdom if she were to die, confusing the hell out of him.
What?
Then she kisses him, bounding them by marriage. Because for some reason in this world, kissing anyone automatically means you're wed. And I don't even want to know what that little ear flutter means. Then she leaves. And just like that, he's the king.
Huh?
Literally 5 minutes ago, she was ready to choose Dick Flap over him, who she just met. I assume she came to the realization that she wasn't going to find anybody else in a day, even if he did grope her that one time. You see that, guys? never take no for an answer. Eventually, she has to say yes. Then Darkos throws them in prison. And now it's time to meet this hyped up Maltazard voiced by David Bowie. The whole movie, they got the Voldemort thing going. Everybody's afraid to say his name. He's supposed to be this really evil dude. His design's pretty good. He looks both scary and gross. He eats a bug. That's pretty yucky. Selenia accuses him of genocide and enslaving people. Not very good stuff. So how does he respond to this? He goes into self-pity and exposition mode, talking about how he got sick, and he turned ugly, and how his life went to shit. Boo hoo hoo. Why does she care? Why is she listening to him? Just put him out of his misery. That's what you came here to do. He's got no weapon. His back is turned. You would be doing him a favor. He is clearly miserable. But instead, she just calls him out on his BS, which is pretty funny. You see, the real reason he got sick and turned ugly was because he started banging a beetle. Ew.
Silence!
And of course, he deflects how any man would after getting called out for banging the chuz.
I was drunk.
Ain't no way. This dude is so unserious. Then he has the gall to start moving in on Selenia, trying to wife her up, talking about watching her blossom and shit.
She whom I have watched blossom like a delicate flower.
Ew, the dude is also a groomer. Add him to the list. And he's not too happy to find out that she married Arthur, having his goons take her away. She had all the time in the world to kill him. She even had the OP sword. I'm sorry, but embarrassing him was not worth it. She choked.
You blew it!
Arthur and Fallon are thrown into a cell with some old dude, who turns out to be Arthur's missing grandpa.
Grandpa!
Selenia soon after joins, and we get some Padme Anakin level romantic dialogue from the two lovebirds.
Look at me. Only yesterday I was just a small lonely kid, and today, well, I married a princess.
A happy princess. Because she's finally found her Prince Charming.
Whoa, time out.
Oh my god, thank you, Jimmy Fallon. I never thought I would have to say that. Darkos then brings them to Maltazar's throne, which happens to be the ruby they've been after. He flaunts his master plan, which is using Arthur's straws to cause a flood to wipe out all the Minimoys. See, that's pretty sinister. But then he lets them go. And even allows Arthur to speak to the enslaved light operator, who's the missing son of one of the old dudes from earlier. Arthur gives the squirrel his bust down and tells him to use the lights to reveal the base's position at precisely noon. So when he's big again, he can come back and fuck their shit up. Maltazar gives them a 3-minute head start before starting this flood.
3 minutes.
And they set off, getting as far as they possibly can before Gramps' back gives out.
Oh, my back!
It's over. GG. But luckily for them, they are bailed out when Arthur realizes they're right below the drain that the rich dude kicked his toy car down. They quickly flip it over, and like a true gentleman, Arthur opens Selenia's passenger side door, W hubby, so we can get a nice clean look at her ass. Of course. Just another insane shot, no biggie. Darkos releases the water, which they barely get ahead of. Arthur whips that hoe like his grandpa 12 beers deep, somehow steering a toy. I'm nitpicking now, let's ignore that. Arthur's mom, who's been digging all goddamn night, hears him screaming underground. She mentions this to the dad, who thinks she's losing her goddamn mind.
Great, now you're hearing voices just like Joan of Arc did.
As she's talking, the BOGO roll up behind him, and she has a heart attack after seeing her first black person. The dad's heart almost gives out as well. I guess they're just camped out in the woods for the last 2 days. You know, normal stuff. The car unfortunately gives out just a few feet before the gate, meaning they gotta sprint the rest of the way. Just managing to make it through and close it before any water gets through. And everyone's all happy to see each other. Very wholesome. Granny, the only normal person in this movie, is going through the feely wheelies thinking about her lost husband and grandson. Until she's interrupted by Arthur's father rushing in, who's absolutely terrified. Of what? The black people, of course.
What is wrong?
Out there.
What's out there?
Five.
Five what?
Black.
This movie really has it all.
Hurry, go. Don't leave here. No, Granny, please.
Arthur and Gramps say their goodbyes at the portal, and he gets this look from Selenia. If my ears could flutter, they would be. She gives him one last smooch, setting him off. The eye movement is wild. She shoves him into the portal, and he pops out all big again. Gramps follows, looking ripe, and damn near puts the condo dude in cardiac arrest.
Can I offer you a nice egg in this trying time?
Installs while Arthur goes and finds the rubies. With the base's position revealed, Arthur commits a little mass murder, dropping in a tennis ball that crushes and leads to the drowning of every single Maltazarian down there. Outside of Maltazar himself, who's able to get away after flaunting to his son that he's leaving him to die.
A commander never deserts his post.
Father of the year. And only the ruby and the squirrel float to the surface, confirming that there were no survivors. That's our hero, all right. He rushes into the house at the last second to pay off the condo man.
Goodbye.
Goodbye now.
Goodbye.
Who would have gotten all this land if he wasn't such a dick? And instead of walking off a little sad, but ultimately fine because, you know, he's rich, he does possibly the stupidest thing in this entire movie and crashes out, attempting to steal the rubies. He's stopped before he can even get outside.
Oh shit!
And is arrested, ultimately throwing his life away for no reason. What a bozo. Arthur delivers the squirrel back to his kingdom.
It's Mino! Oh, Mino! My son!
Papa!
Oh, my boy! I took the air myself.
Selenia puts the sword back in the stone. All the human people eat giraffe's neck for dinner, which finishes the mom off for good.
Oh shit!
And the movie wholesomely closes with both Arthur and Selenia fantasizing about the next time they get to mac on each other. He even puts it in his calendar. The end. And that's Arthur and the Divisibles, Arthur and the Minimoys, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's one weird ass movie, but I totally get why I enjoyed it so much as a youngin'. The world is sick, there's some solid action scenes, the pacing never slows. I was pretty entertained. Obviously, there's a lot of highly suspect scenes and shots that for some reason made the final cut of this thing. And again, the romance between Madonna and the kid from Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, highly suspect. And making half the characters hornballs was a strange choice, but at least that part wasn't live action. Besson and the French are some freaks though.
I'm French.
And you too, Weinstein. I won't forget you. But honestly, even though I diss this movie most of the time, it was solid, okay? I give it a 6 out of 10. It wasn't as good as I remembered, but honestly, not too shabby. This movie even has 2 sequels that I remember being pretty weird and not liking them that much because I think I only watched them one time. And there's even a 2022 Arthur horror movie that I heard is absolutely dog shit and has nothing to do with the first 3 movies outside of the characters in it being big fans of the series. Let me know if you want me to cover any of these. But yeah, that's the video. If you enjoyed, liking and subscribing helps out a whole lot and would be very much appreciated. If you're still here, comment Arthur and the Diddlers to let me know you made it to the end. Anyhow, thank you all so much for watching. I love and appreciate every single one of you guys. And good night.